Safety Man here, safetyman.co. Today we're going to talk about a very common subject that comes up when I'm training my firearms clients is what are the laws? What is expected of a homeowner to use deadly force in the state of New Jersey to protect themselves from an intruder, a home invasion, or some other burglary or something that's going on inside your home? What are the laws? So first I want to talk about safety. We have to make sure that everything is safe. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and take you from the beginning, how I train my clients, all the way to, heaven forbid, we have to use that deadly force to protect ourselves or our family or any other occupants. So the first thing is we need to know the law. And at the end, I'm going to tell you exactly what the law is, but we're going to talk about all the factors that go into how they made the law. So the first thing is safety. Second thing is we need to identify the threat. We need to identify who we are going to use force. And today we're talking about deadly force, which is usually a firearm, but deadly force, as the statute implies, could include anything that could cause death or serious bodily injury. Serious bodily injury means the protracted or permanent loss of the use of a limb, a body function, or could put somebody in the hospital for a long time. A baseball bat to the head, an axe, a stab with a knife, a firearm, obviously. If somebody's really good at martial arts and you use a choke or a stranglehold, all those things could be considered deadly force and could produce serious or great bodily harm or serious or great bodily injury. All those terms are interchangeable. So we need to identify the threat. After we ensure that our weapons are stored safely and accessible by those who are trained, we need to identify the threat, either by light, whether you have a weapon mounted light, a flashlight on your firearm, whether you turn the lights on inside your home, or whether you have a handheld flashlight. So we need to identify the threat. The last thing we want to do is accidentally use deadly force on another home resident, neighbor, somebody who came in the wrong house by accident. All these things have happened. In my 27 years of law enforcement experience, every one of these things has happened at some point. Somebody's gone into the wrong house and passed out on the couch. Do you think it's lawful to go up and just shoot that person? Absolutely not. You're going to go to prison for that. The law says that you should issue a warning if feasible. Issue a warning. What's the typical warning? Stop or I'll shoot. Get out of my house or I'll shoot. That's a typical warning. Law doesn't require it. It says you should do it. And when the law says you should, it means that when you're testifying in court, you have to articulate, you have to be able to explain why you did not use that. And some of the things in the statute clearly indicate that if you feel that the warning would not have been effective, or if you feel that the warning would have put you or another resident in even greater danger, then there's no requirement to issue that warning. But remember, the law expects you to do it. It doesn't require you to do it. It expects you to do it, to issue that warning if feasible. And you see me looking down at notes because I want to make sure I give you the best information possible. Okay. Now, here's the three main words of the statute for the use of deadly force for self-protection are inside the home. And this is specifically for the state of New Jersey. Inside the home. Not on the porch, not in your driveway, not in your detached garage, not in your front yard, not in your backyard. If you look out the window and someone is trying to steal your vehicle or break into your vehicle, deadly force is not authorized in the state of New Jersey. Not only is it not authorized, as a law enforcement officer and as a safety instructor, I don't even think it's wise. My advice to you, if you see someone breaking into your car trying to steal your car, is to be a good witness, get them on video from a cell phone if you can from a safe location, and contact 911 and be the best witness you can be. Do not go outside and try to confront that person who is trying to do something to your car. Do not. The key word is always going to be what was reasonable. At the end of the day, and even in the court cases, the federal court cases are reasonable. What would a reasonable homeowner, under the exact same facts and circumstances and situation, be able to do at that time. Reasonable is the key word. And again, if you know any lawyers and you say the word reasonable, they can argue about that for days and days and days of what the word reasonable actually means. But the key word is reasonable. The statute then goes on to say that you have to be in fear of, quote, all caps, harm, end quote, harm. Doesn't say death or serious bodily injury as we described earlier. It says harm. You have to be in fear of harm. It does not say that you have to be able to predict what this intruder, home invader, burglar, or person inside your home is going to do. You don't have to predict it. You just have to be able to articulate that you were in fear of possible harm to yourself or any other person who's supposed to be inside your house, i.e. your family, your relatives if they're over for an event. Anybody that's inside your home, this extends your ability to protect them as well. So how do we determine what the intentions of the intruder are? Well, there are some facts that we can look at to make a determination. If it's a small child and he has a knapsack or a pillowcase and he's putting things in it, it seems like his intention might be burglary, theft. If he's in a bathroom, in the medicine cabinet, stealing medication, it seems like his intention might be he's addicted to something and he wants to steal narcotics or prescription medication. Does that mean you cannot shoot them or use deadly force? It means that we have to be able to articulate that we are in fear of harm. Now, that person who was originally engaged in a theft or a burglary, now they're about to get cornered, caught, assaulted, they may immediately turn to an aggressive assaultive behavior. So again, the law does not require you to be able to predict or assume or read the mind of someone who's inside your home. So the key word is reasonable. We have to identify the threat and we have to be able to articulate or explain in court numerous times, criminal court and civil court, and to the investigators who initially arrived, that we were in fear of harm. Harm can be anything from a punch, a slap in the face, a tackle, all the way up to a deadly force, whether it be a knife, a gun, a bat, an axe, a crowbar, or any other weapon that this person has. Now, the law also assumes that if someone is inside your house, that is likely that their intentions are nefarious or evil. They're typically not breaking into your house to wish you happy birthday. I know it sounds ridiculous, but the law does infer that if someone is inside your house that you did not invite in there, time, location, and all those things play a factor. There's a difference between 2 p.m. and 2 a.m. Doesn't mean that somebody in there at 2 p.m. gets a free pass, 2 a.m. they get shot. It just means that all those facts and circumstances can play a part in whether that our use of deadly force was justified. So again, it's not possible necessarily to read the mind of someone who's inside your home. So the law already says that it's likely that their intentions are nefarious. That is not an automatic license to use deadly force. It's just something that's in your corner, something that we can think about. So again, it has to be reasonable. Now, there was a home invasion in Morristown back in 2017. People invaded a resident's home. The resident was surprised. He wound up using an edged weapon, a knife, stabbed at least one of the intruders. And to this date, there have been no charges against that homeowner. Just so you know, that happened. So you must be able to justify the force legally. You must be able to justify the force you use civilly, because I guarantee you, even if you are cleared criminally, there will be a civil trial by the person if they're alive and by their estate if they are deceased. So there will be a civil trial, and the burden of proof to indicate that your use of deadly force was unjustifiable is less in a civil trial than it is in a criminal trial. So again, you want to make sure that you know what you're doing and that you have a plan. All right. A lot of people think that you have to retreat from your home if someone breaks in. You don't. I'm not saying that might not be a good idea if you can do it safely. I would much rather get my entire family out of my house and get to safety than to have to shoot 1, 2, 3, 4 people and deal with that. So I would much rather retreat if I can. And that should all be part of our plan. We need to have a plan. You can't make this up as you're going along. You have to have a plan. So I always have my clients practice 2 plans. One is a fire. If there's a fire in the house, we need to have at least 2 ways that everybody can get out of the house. Usually the normal way is running down the steps, going out the front or back door. But if the steps are on fire, if the downstairs are on fire, if the hallway's on fire, if the doorknob is hot and you can't get out, then plan B might be to climb out of a window. And we have to weigh the likelihood of what injury we could sustain if we're jumping out of a 2nd floor window. I'd rather break a leg or 2 than die from smoke inhalation or fire. Then we practice a home invasion scenario. And some of the things we might do there would be to escape, to barricade and hide, or to everybody congregate into a safe room or to the parents' room where the parents may be armed, lock the door, drop a dresser in front of it, get on the phone with 911, shine a flashlight in the doorway, and then be armed and ready and making a lot of noise. Stop, get out of my house, I have a gun. Stop, get out of my house, I have a gun. When we call 911, what happens? Police, where is your emergency? You give them your address at least twice. 123 Main Street, 123 Main Street. There's someone in my house and I have a gun. As soon as you say that, you're going to get a lot of police officers responding. That has to be part of the plan. We're calling 911. We're barricading everybody in as close to the same room as possible if we can. And we're screaming, we're yelling at this or those intruders that get out of our house. I have a gun. That's recorded on 911. That's going to go a long way to protect you both criminally, civilly, and as 2022, we have to consider this the court of public opinion, because this is going to be all over social media. And the more that we're doing to be within the law and to be within the morals of using deadly force, the better off we're going to be. So the law does not say you have to retreat from your home. The law says if you're outside the home in New Jersey and force is coming, if you can retreat in complete safety, then you must do that. Not partial safety, not some safety, not hopefully this is safety, complete safety outside the home, then you must do that. You also have to be able to live with the force that you use. You have to be able to live with it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's going to be easy, that you're going to wake up and have a party the next day. I have numerous friends that have been involved in officer-involved shootings. It's not easy. But the fact that the shootings, every one of my friends, the fact that those officer-involved shootings were cleared doesn't mean that it just goes away. It's still with you. And if you're not trained as a law enforcement officer and you're a homeowner who has a firearm or has some other weapon and you use it and you severely injure somebody or take somebody's life and you have to deal with the criminal, the civil, the social repercussions of that, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your neighbors are all going to have different opinions about what you did. If you follow the instructions that you get from Safety Man in the training with the use of deadly force, it's going to mitigate the negative effects of all of that on you. So there's no need to retreat from the home, but you do have to do that. You do have to have a plan, right? You do have to have a plan. Are we going to escape? Are we going to barricade? What kind of force are we going to use? And then we have to be able to deal with the aftermath of that. The aftermath of that. Are we going to stay barricaded and wait for the police to show up? Are we going to escape? Are we going to are we going to start to use first aid? Are we going to try to help this person if they're potentially still alive? That's a personal decision based on the facts and circumstances, if you can do it safely, but the law does not require you, and I'm not ever going to suggest anybody put themselves in any greater danger to help somebody that they had to use deadly force on. That's a personal decision, but it's something you need to think about now. You can't make that up when you're going in that situation, because you're going to be hyperventilating, you're going to have tunnel vision, you're going to have auditory exclusion, and you're not going to be making the same good sound decisions that you would make right now when you're listening to this video. So then we're going to always call 911 and stay on 911 until the police get there. And then when the police get there, you follow their instructions. You verbalize. If you're still holding a firearm at this person, holding them at gunpoint, and the police show up and say, drop the gun, you drop the gun, don't turn around, don't show it to them, because then you're going to be laying right next to the person you shot. But you verbalize, I am the homeowner. My name is Corey. That person is still armed. They're still dangerous. And drop your gun. Corey, what if I break my gun? I just spent $600 for this brand new gun. It's going to be evidence anyway. They're going to take it. The likelihood of you getting that back anytime soon is slim to none. That's going to be evidence for the criminal trial and then the civil trial if those happen. So don't worry about breaking the gun. Most guns are pretty durable and they won't break if you drop it. Okay, so just understand bullet dynamics. How far does a bullet go? How many walls will a bullet penetrate inside of a standard home? It depends on what kind of gun you have, depends on what kind of ammunition you're using, depends on how far away you are from the suspect, from the walls. There's a lot of different factors that go into that. And when we do our training with our firearms, those are the things that we talk about. I look at your exact weapon, your exact ammunition. I talk about how your home is set up. Is the master bedroom upstairs and the other bedrooms are downstairs, or all the bedrooms upstairs? Is it a single floor? Is it a condo? Is it a townhouse? Is it an attached row home? All those things come into play about the different ammunition and weapons that we select to defend ourselves. Okay, some shotguns with birdshot or target ammunition are pretty good at stopping somebody from their aggressive intentions to try to hurt or kill you or your family members. But they offer a lot less over-penetration where they may still retain enough kinetic energy or power to injure or kill another person should you miss. However, windows do nothing to bullets. They barely even change their trajectory. So if you fire around and you miss and it goes out your window, it's guaranteed that it could possibly go into a neighbor's house or a neighbor's window and injure them. So those are all things that we have to consider when we're choosing the firearm, the ammunition, and our self-defense, self-protection, home defense, home protection plan when we do that. So there will be a criminal investigation. The law enforcement officers will show up. Corey, what do I say? Well, I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is just guidance. My advice would be, when you do buy a firearm, contact a criminal defense attorney and just have a quick meeting with him or her and determine what they recommend that you say to those responding police officers. Okay, get that person on speed dial, find out if that attorney or one of their representatives can respond to you, or at least be on speakerphone if you, heaven forbid, have to use deadly force and law enforcement is showing up. Now, what do you say when you call 911? What I recommend, again, contact your attorney to get the best advice for your situation, is please send an ambulance. Someone broke into my home. There was a shooting. Someone is injured. Almost verbatim. You're not implicating yourself. You're saying someone broke into my home. There was a shooting. Someone is injured. And then follow the directions of the police, and then calmly, professionally say, excuse me, officer, excuse me, detective, my attorney is on their way. They advised me not to say anything until they get here. I will cooperate 100% with your investigation, but under the advice of my attorney, I just have to wait until they get here. I'm not trying to mess with your investigation. I will give you all the answers that my attorney allows me to give you. That sounds a lot better than I'm not saying anything. It kind of makes you sound a little more guilty, doesn't it? So again, contact an attorney the instant you put a firearm in your home and get that best advice. Get them on speed dial so you can have them respond. Heaven forbid you have to use deadly force to protect yourself or your family members from harm. Also, imagine there's going to be a civil suit. So that same attorney should be able to represent you both in any criminal investigation or trial, and any civil investigation or trial. So that's why we want to maintain consistency. We want to provide basic information to the police, like we said on the phone, and then we want to make sure that we wait for our attorney to get there when something happens. Now, I just want to finish up and just give you the name of the statute. The statute that we're looking at is under 2C:36. 2C:36 deals with use of force inside the home, and use of deadly force inside the home. Just go right to your search engine of choice and type in New Jersey Statute Annotated, or NJSA space 2C-36, and just read those. It's about a 3-minute read, and it'll explain to you everything we talked about. It'll explain the law. It gives you the definitions of some of the things we talked about, like harm and deadly force and serious bodily harm and great bodily harm and all those things. But educate yourself now. It's going to be too late after you pull that trigger and hurt somebody. You can't put your seatbelt on after the crash, so we can't train ourselves on how to handle this deadly force incident after it happens. We have to do it before. We have to be proactive. And again, I commend everyone who's taken these proactive steps to defend themselves and their families. And I want to give you the moral, legal, and tactical way to do that. So if you contact safetyman.co, our training isn't just target practice. Our training is everything we talked about. I make it specific to you, your family situation, your home situation, and we're going to do everything we can to keep you alive, to keep you out of jail, and to make sure that every morning that you wake up, you can live with the decision that you made to use or not use deadly force to protect yourself and your family from harm. Go to safetyman.co, schedule firearms training lessons, and I'll ensure that you are safe, effective, and legal. Stay safe and be ready.